Hello friends, welcome. My name's Popeye. Today we're playing some more Higurashi Chapter 8 Matsuribayashi, or the Festival Accompaniment Chapter. Before we get into what happened last time and into this game is a pretty mature theme, so I'm going to put out some trigger warnings. Any of these things are not for you. Please by all means find some place that you'd rather spend your time today. This game has some mature themes such as death, murder, dismemberment, blood, gore, torture, kidnapping, child abuse, suicide, self-harm, and all of the above against minors, especially it takes place to children between the ages of 11 and 14. If you missed anything of what I just said, either feel free to ask me to repeat it or check down below where I have a list of all of those trigger warnings. You can send me cans. I don't know. My guess would be metric mining. But I mean, I really don't know. I should probably disable. Let me make a note to disable death damnation because I'm not playing it anytime soon. There we go. I guess we'll see soon if they're zombies. Okay. Because it's on topic, there is a spin-off Higurashi movie called Higurashi Daybreak, which is the plot of it is essentially the normal Higurashi experience, except if it was treated like a zombie, like apocalypse, like virus outbreak. So, if people want to watch the Higurashi like zombie crossover, whatever, that's it. I don't think it ever made it into a game format, though. I think it was just a movie version. But okay, last time we did a lot of important stuff. We had the battle with Takano. We had split off into two groups. The one who was going to infiltrate and save cameraman dude. And then we had the other group who took the tracking device and went up into the forest, which was all the kids, to draw out all of the mountain dogs. So on the mountain side, they used a bunch of traps to slowly whittle down and incapacitate all of the mountain dog soldiers. And it worked. They held them off for, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours. Thank you for the host, Deadbeard. Which was more than enough time for them to get other cameraman. His name escapes me. It escapes me every single time. It'll come up in like 5 minutes and then I'll remember. But yeah, so they go in, they break in through the doctor's window, which he left open when he made the phone call for the emergency. Yes, I'm glad you like the Uncle Hunter tag. I was trying to think of dumb tags I could add. We broke in through the window. Irie had just like the list of the building schematics. They took a look at that, broke into the security room, took out the 2 security guards, which left 6 remaining. They went down into the security room. Irie forgot there was a security procedure that basically puts out this gas designed to incapacitate intruders within 2 minutes. So the plan they come up with is Shion's bodyguard pulls out a shotgun, starts blasting through the door, being like, I don't need to see you to hit you. I'm just going to keep blasting the shotgun until you guys surrender. I got all day. So they eventually surrender and turn off the gas countdown. Shion goes to try and get Satoshi, but they miscounted. There were only 5 people in the room, so there's a 6th guy who takes her hostage, Irie concocts some story that he attacks him with a pen, and then concocts a story that, oh, this pen is actually like a secret spy gadget kind of thing that has injected you with a thing, and only I have the serum that can heal you. The guy falls for it. They capture him. They grab Satoshi. Shion and Satoshi finally, after 8 games, reunite. But she's heartbroken because she's not allowed to wake him up. He's in a medically induced coma, because if he wakes up, he literally rips people's faces off, which isn't good. So they leave him in the medically induced coma and just get him out of there. At this point on the mountain, they've literally like incapacitated the whole battalion, platoon. I can't remember which military grouping it was. They incapacitate basically everyone. They make it to the top, and the leader talks to Shion, talks to Mion, is like, "You're their leader, right? I want to have a martial arts battle with you." And Mion's like, "Okay," and then Mion beats him up. While they're doing this, the other group who's got cameraman has escaped. They know that there's a checkpoint where they have a rocket launcher ready to hit them as they try and go out. But because of plot armor, Shion and her bodyguard took sniping lessons in the United States and just happened to have a sniper rifle with them and a set of military-grade binoculars. And they take out the blockade from afar, allowing the rest of the group to drive out, phone for backup, which arrives 20 minutes later by helicopter all across the mountain, which ends the battle between the people on the mountain and the mountain dogs. So we're just at the point, they've just landed, they've made sure everyone is safe. They've asked all the mountain dogs to surrender peacefully, and we just realized that Hanyu has disappeared, and we're going to find her. He faced her for guy comatose. Yeah, so they're literally like, last time he was awake, he attacked a nurse, and she had to have facial reconstruction surgery. We haven't woken him up since. But I think right now we are actually viewing this from the point of Takano, I think. Because she's the only one who would want Tokyo to send more support. They're acting as if they've known of their loss for a while now. I was the only one who didn't know. Oh yeah, and Okanagi didn't tell her that the other team had, like, freed their captive. Because he was like, we've lost anyways, it doesn't make a difference if I tell her or not. It just doesn't matter, so I'm just not going to tell her. Tomitake, what did I say, 5 minutes later? It was maybe like 7 or 8, but they said it. Who's there to fight back? The remaining 3 members looked at me in exhaustion. One of the 3 spoke up timidly, but Okanagi signaled him to shut up, but not fast enough. Aren't even responding to me anymore. I'm left behind. I'm the only one who didn't know. I'm being left out. Members looked at Okanagi, waiting for his command. Nobody's waiting for my order. Nobody even cares about my orders. One of the members handed the intercom to Okanagi. Wait, Samus canonically now has no feet? Deadbeard, I love the fact that you used channel points to do that when as a mod you could have done that as an announcement and it would have highlighted for everyone anyways. Yeah, he's trying to convince you of something that's not true, which is scolding steals sleep. It doesn't steal sleep. Sure we can. You're just either going to be a 0 or a 1. Cat. The cat has booped the secondary camera. I have no idea what it's going to look like now. Don't you dare knock that off. Cats, please. Well, thank you, Samuses. This is either going to be fine, or it's going to be a garbled mess. Apparently it's fine. Hi, cat. Hi, buddy. Redecorated again? See, the problem is we haven't finished redecorating. This shelf is supposed to go somewhere. The keyboard is probably moving. Stretching steals furniture. Okay, I'll let you down. You're wiggly and you're a little bit stinky. It got deleted. I did try to find the wiki. Cat, that's not your chair. Well, the cat stole my chair. It's his stream now. That is annoying. They should send you something. Hey, buddy. You can stay there. You'll just have to be on my lap. Camera, you want to come back? Camera. There we go.
Sansa. あんたの役目はその手に持っておられるスクラップ帳を育て上げることでした。何の話を
I didn't expect Okami to start talking about my grandfather's scrapbook.
南沢症候群って病気があることは疑いません。だが女王が死ぬと48時間で村中が大パニックになるってのは見た者がいます。本当か嘘かなんて。バカなこと言わないで。ほら、書いてあるわよ。どこのページかしら。他の類似の脳内規制重症の症例から類推して統計できる。どこだ。
What does Firefox on this time? I flipped through the pages of my scrapbook in a panic. Interestingly, the sound effect they just used there for flipping through the scrapbook is the same one that they use for flipping through books in the tips. If you ever have like one of the diaries open. Can't even remember which page I'm looking for. Okanagi slapped the scrapbook aside and it thudded, until it landed in a muddy puddle that splashed onto the ground. The open pages of the scrapbook were face down in the muddy water and already turning color as they soaked up the mud. As I crouched down to pick up the scrapbook, Okanagi stepped on it. A splash of muddy water hit me in the face. I had to witness my precious scrapbook being stepped on and covered in filth. Sansa. That's pretty bad. I tried to get the scrapbook from under Okanagi's feet, but I couldn't pull it out.
東京のクライアントが期待してたのは、そのスクラップ帳の中身をどれだけの人間が信じてくれるか。
Cat, what are you doing? Yeah, I'm not letting you go behind there, but you can go over here. There you go.
本当か嘘かはどうでもいい。ただ信憑性さえありゃよかったんです。本当か嘘かどうでも。そうです。どっちでもいいんです。でっかい研究所で偉い先生方が研究してこれこれこういう結果ですっていう専門用語だらけの難しい資料を作ってくれて、中身などろくにわからねえ連中を騙せるだけの信憑性ってやつを、その嘘なんかじゃないわ。私と祖父が何年にもわたって研究してきて、足をどけなさいよ。
Scrapbook is getting soaked through. I'm trying my best so that it's not ruined, but it's no use. Maybe you should have made a copy of this book?
そういうとんでもない話をおいら方に納得させられりゃよかったんです。南沢症候群が脳みそに寄生してどうこうとか、んなこと誰も興味ない。政治的アクションに使えるかどうかにしか興味がなかった。んなことはあんただって十分承知していたでしょうが。そして今や誰もこんなインチキスクラップは信じやしません。このスクラップ帳に大勢がかけた。そして負けたんです。山犬もこのスクラップ帳には突き張って負けた。それだけのことですね。インチキスクラップなんかじゃない。これは真実なのよ。全部真実。おじいちゃんが調べて、私が調べて、そして書き上げてきた真実の研究結果なのよ。だってみんな信じてくれた。だからあんな立派な研究所を作ってくれたのよ。信じてくれたからみんなそう野村さんだって。この研究の進化を分かってくれるクライアントはきっと他にだっているわ。だってこの研究は人類の未来の可能性。
Okanagi got fed up and kicked me. I don't weigh much, so I fell backward and became soaked in the muddy water. Okanagi walked over and looked down at me. One of the mountain dogs handed a gun to Okanagi. Okanagi checked the cylinder, then threw it over to me.
サンサ、そいつで自分の頭ぶち抜いてくれませんか？
I looked at the gun. I'm used to seeing guns working with the area institute as I do. I was never frightened by guns before. First time I felt scared just looking at one.
よくあるやつですわ。トカゲの尻尾ってやつです。サンサ、敗軍の将の責任ってやつで、そいつで自分の頭ぶち抜いてください。そんな。
Nobody's ever told me to die before. Nobody's ever told me to kill myself.
クライアントもうちらも、サンサが死んでくれりゃ、サンサがあることないことやってくれたってことで、すでに東京はその準備に入ってますね。バカなこと言わないで。そんなことできるわけ。
I'm starting to sob, my body shaking all over.
無理ならいいんです。今のあんたにそこまで求めるのは酷でしょう。
Okanagi pulled his gun out and pointed it at me. The other members, having realized everything will work out if I die, just looked at me coldly.
投降を説得するも、堅くなに拒否し、抵抗、銃撃戦になり、やむなく射殺。そっちが本当の筋書きなんです。自殺用の銃は、短くない時間、世話になったことへの 俺なりの気遣いだったつもりです。
そんな筋書き嫌よ。そんなの誰が考えたのよ。
あんたがさっきから助けを求めたいって言っておられる東京の野村さんです。終末作戦が失敗した時に備えダメージコントロールを図る作戦ってのも、野村さんの暗号名はカッコウ、そしてサンサの暗号名はヒナでしたね。カッコウが卵をどこに産むかご存知ですか？
そんな。
カッコウの卵はよその鳥の巣に産みつけられ、そこから帰ったカッコウはですね、もともとの巣のヒナを突き落として巣を乗っ取っちまうんだそうです。巣から落ちた飛べないヒナは地面でのたくり、まあ普通は野犬や山犬に食わ
Very
れて殺され
elaborate
ちまうってことです。
analogy. I used the money I got from Uncle Koizumi to pay the mountain dogs, thinking I'd gained a reliable ally. I always thought that, although Okanagi was barbaric, he was very reliable. But my nest had been taken over.
あんたの味方なんていなかったんです。あんたは東京のクライアントが描いた絵の通り踊って緊急ですが、その舞台も幕が降りてあんたにそう、あんたの大好きなスクラップ帳、そいつを左手に抱きながら右手で銃を拾ってください。
Scrapbook was finally returned to me, covered in mud. I held it with both hands and cried. What a joke the entire life of Mio Takano was. Right now is when I should just go back inside that chain-link fence. My shaking hands held the ice-cold gun.
弾は一発ですから慎重に。頭蓋骨は案外弾、口を開けてその中に撃つのがよくあるやり方です。ほら、銃を持って構えて、そして死んでくださいな。
In the hills of the mountain, a single gunshot echoed. That gunshot, numbers of the bloodhounds rushed in. Okanagi and the other men raised their hands in surrender.
高野三佐も一緒でしたが、どうしても投降は嫌だと絞りましてね。今の発砲は三佐がこっちに銃を向けたんで撃った。
レトリバー7よりリーダー、おこのぎ2と山犬隊員3名を逮捕。高野三佐はこのすぐ近くを逃走中の模様。足跡が南西方向へ消えているが物資が濃い。それ以上の追跡は不能。大地区応援を。高野三佐は武装している。繰り返す、高野三佐は武装している。
レトリバーリーダーよりオール。重要手配犯の高野三佐が現在逃走中。高野三佐は武装している模様。逃走地点を中心にパトローリングで封殺せよ。
I'm running through the mountain, covered in dirt, and still holding the muddy scrapbook. Keep falling because of the mud, and the branches and tree roots continue to torment me. I lost one of my shoes, so I decided to get rid of the other shoe too. This isn't the first time I've had to run like this. This isn't the first time I've ran barefoot. This isn't the first time I've felt such pain on the soles of my feet. This isn't the first time I've cried like this.
繰り返す。高野三佐、武装解除し投降せよ。逃げ場はない。山犬はすでに全員投降した。君に味方はいないぞ。
A helicopter above my head is calling out my name. I crawled into a hollow tree, held my knees, and I hid. Last time I ran barefoot like this was a very long time ago. My feet are bloody and swollen, and I can no longer walk. I only cry as I bite the corner of my scrapbook. Sadness and humiliation fight for dominance in my heart. When I feel sad, I cry. When I feel humiliated, I scratch myself to calm my anger. I still have the gun in my right hand, the one with a single bullet in it. I have to kill myself. And death is the only thing that can bring it all to an end. Killing myself is the only way to go back to that day. When I look at the scrapbook in my left hand, I'm assaulted by sadness and fear.
死にたくない死にたくないよ
Just die. Atone for your actions with your death. I recalled the look in Okanagi's eyes. I know I've committed sins. There are so many sins, too many of them. More sins than I can possibly atone for. But do I have to die for them? So, if they haven't made this painfully obvious, this is a reflection of her escaping from the orphanage. And they echo that in... They're literally reusing forest assets. It's raining, because of course it has to be raining. She doesn't have her shoes. She's being chased by, big, strong men calling out for her, knowing that if she gets caught, she'll be punished. Cried again, and then notice someone standing nearby. It's the girl. The girl whom I met when I came to Himonizawa when the Erie Institute was first opened. Yes, right at the start of this chapter. I met this girl at the shrine when I declared war on God. This girl is the god of this place. That god looked at me and sneered rather than sympathizing.
それでもまだ人の身を捨て神の座を求めるというのか随分久しぶりね負けよこのゲームは私人の身の分際で神に挑戦した哀れな女の末路がこれ人の子よまだ神の座を追い求めるの数々の試練をまだくぐりそれでもなお神の座を求めるのか冗談じゃないわ神の座なんてもう無理じゃない人の子よ聞け今こそ神になる道を示そうそなたの右手に持つ鉄の火で己が生に別れを告げる神の座に肉の器は不要人にその姿を認められようなどと思ってはならぬ神とは孤独な存在それに好んでなりたがる愚かな人の子よそれでもなお神の座を目指すというのかこれで私の頭を打ち抜けっていうのそんな簡単なことで私は神になれるのそんなにも簡単なことだったのなら私は何今まで何を積み上げてきたの大勢の人間の罪を責めその大勢の罪を今こそ己の生き
Hi, cat. It's be on my lap now.
その勇気はたたえられ神の座の末席を許すである何をそれ私にトカゲの尻尾を引き受けて全員の責任を押し付けられて死ねとそういうのふざけないそんなの嫌よ絶対に嫌何故に嫌か 常に人の世で和を求めるためには一つの汚れに
This is now a reflection of Hanyu's life growing up, where she was sacrificed as the way to get rid of all the sins of humans and allow the demons and humans to live together.
それが人の世の断り罪のみそぎの方法ではなかったのか。そなたの望む未来一人の少女を生贄に求めたのはそれを理解していたからではなかったのか。わかんない話はやめて。私には何のことかさっぱりわからないわ。それがわからぬなら所詮は人の荷。神の座を求めた身の程知らずを食いよ。食いる。他の人の責任をかぶって死ぬのが神になる道なんて絶対嫌。私は人間でよかった。ただただ人間として生きていいよって生きてもいいよって。それなのになんでこんなことに。ならばこの度の人の世の汚れをいかにして代価を払うのか。なんでよ。なんで誰かが責任を取らされなくちゃならないのよ。誰もが相手を利用して情感を押し付け合って自分の手を汚さずに済むように立ち回りそれが人の世なの。違う。だってお父さんやお母さんやおじいちゃんと生きてきた日々にはそんなのなかったもん。みんながみんな幸せだった。誰にもジョーカーなんか押し付けなかった。どうしてその世界から私はこぼれてしまったの。どうして私はこんな雨の惨事を。私はどうして。
Those men in the helicopter being really nice and allowing them to have this conversation.
これが私の罪に対する報いばかった。うっすらと気づいてた。何か大切なものを間違えてでもそれを認めたくなくて取り返しがつかないところにまで来て初めて後悔した。報いなのね。人の世はそなたに罪のみそぎを求めるだろう。この度の汚れはそなたを生贄に捧げることで払わそれが人の世の払い方。なれど我は人にあらず人を超える存在にして欠けたる輪を埋める存在。人の罪を許す存在。人の罪は人には許せぬ。我こそが人のこの罪を許そう。
I forgive you. Demanding a sacrifice be paid for sins isn't the way of the human world, it's the way of demons. This is not the world of man. This is the world of demons created by man, and the demons infesting them. Humans cannot end that way of their world. I became a god to grant that end. It's over 1,000 years of pain. I want to come down from this place. I desired a world where God doesn't need to make peace. Finally, after 1,000 years of time, I have found that fragment. Come, child of man. I will forgive your sins in my name. Kneel and repent. Ask for forgiveness, then you shall receive it. God will forgive you. God will forgive your human sins. The God in the form of a little girl walked up to me and reached out. I knelt and looked down. She touched my head. I heard voices in the distance, and I saw a girl standing in front of me. She's one of Neon's club members, my most hated enemies. It's not like I can't recognize her just because she changed outfits. She's not Superman, but apparently that's how this works. Shit, she's found me. The rain had already ceased. I decided to come out of the hollow tree. The rain had grown so humid I was starting to sweat all over. You still don't see any zombies? I told you, the zombies is in one of the other movies. I'm soaked in sweat, mud, and rain. I feel filthy. I'm bitten by mosquitoes, my body's itching all over. This is why I hate the mountains. Sir, this is a Wendy's. I pointed the gun at her. The girl just looked at me calmly, as if she didn't see it. At the very least, she did follow my order. What should I do? Should I take her as my hostage? I only have one bullet. How long can I keep running for?
どこだよ。参ったな。マジで迷子だぞあいつ。あ、
見つけましたわ。羽生さん。羽生、一体今までどこへ。
Man, I remember writing. I spent a very brief time learning how to write, like OpenGL C++ shaders. I didn't really enjoy it. I've had to use it exactly one time in my professional career. You're rewriting OpenGL.
最後の最後で一矢報いることはできそうね。みんな、これが何か
Oh no, she's pointing a gun at me.
銃よ。身動きしちゃダメよ。これで状況は逆転ね。
くそ。なんてこと。
Wait, Australian Wendy's is actually different? It's an ice cream parlor?
ミオンちゃん、他の誰かを撃たれたくなかったら、一歩前に出なさい。
I have to see what Australian Wendy's looks like.
ダメだよ、みーちゃん。
Yeah, your Wendy's is the same as Canadian Wendy's. Interesting. Australian Wendy's looks like Canadian Dairy Queen. Neon stepped forward quietly. She certainly has a lot of courage. No wonder she's their
あな
leader.
たのおかげで、私はもうめちゃくちゃよ。
So, Dairy Queen is, so they do ice cream, but they'll do like the all chocolate fudge popsicles. They'll do vanilla ice cream, and then like you dip it in hot chocolate so that melts, or so not melts, hardens and creates a coating. They'll do ice cream cakes, but then they also do like grilled hot dogs and burgers.
私を殺そうと、この山中に怖い。
In Canada, they're sometimes paired with an orange Julius, so you can sometimes have like ice cream and like a shake, or like just like a blended juice.
どうせ私は許されない。でも、このままではあまりに悔しいわ。だからね、せめてお返しをしてやりたいの。
Sounds like American Dairy Queen. American Celine Dion Canadian Dairy Queen. she's been in Vegas so long, she's basically American to us at this point. I'd say for the most part, any like American restaurant, if we have it in Canada, is probably almost identical. Like maybe it has different flavors, like maybe it probably has more like maple stuff in Canada. That's about it.
その通りよ。でもその一発でミオンちゃんが死んでしまうかもしれないとは考えない？
高野、ミオ撃つ気ですか？
誰も動いちゃダメよ。焦って撃ったら誰に当たるかわかんないんだから。
I think we have Olive Gardens. I've never actually been to an Olive Garden, but I'm pretty sure we have them. Australia gets spiders as a side dish.
みんな、動いちゃダメだよ。
What did you... Hey. Hey, stop playing with that. These aren't for you. Those, huh? These are. The cat's off playing in it's like a tiny little like shovel and stuff in one of the plants, and he's playing with it. I see you reaching for them. I move them far enough away that you'd literally have to get into the potted plant. Don't you get into the potted plant! Hey! Hey! Out. I don't like these. Nope, they're getting confiscated. I don't know where I'm gonna put them. They'll go in this plant. Can't reach this plant. Well, the cat's now in his bed. He's got, like, one of those, like, scratching posts with, like, a bed on top, so he's now on top of his bed. He's still looking at the plant. But he's not... So today, he's played with a pen. He tried to knock his nail clippers off the desk. He has knocked my, like, soundproof foam behind my microphone down 3 times today. And now he's playing with the plant shovels.
私の後ろに隠れてて。
勇敢ね。誰かを撃たれるくらいなら自分が撃たれようと。
He is a great cat. He does the thing cats do where sometimes they get into trouble. Yeah. Here, let me get them. Yeah, I see you coming over. So one of them lost its head. But you've got this little trowel. Yeah, this one, which was more of like a shovel, like a rounder head than this one. You got like an itty-bitty rake. That's what he was playing with. Now he's playing with his nail clippers again. Yeah, I see you trying to knock the nail clippers off. Those are mine now.
まあね。拳銃の一発でそうそう人間くたばるもんじゃない。
Yeah, those were more for decoration than anything.
当たりどころにもよるだろうけどさ。
驚くわ。なんて勇気なの。みんなに代わって私に撃たせようってこと。言っておくけど、 銃声がすれば怖いお兄さんたちが殺到するだろうから、それを恐れて私が発砲しないなんてのは。
じゃあ撃てばいいよ。ただしその一発を撃った後、私の仲間はあんたを八つ裂きにするよ。
望むところよ。人を呪わばなんとやら。おこのぎを屈服させるほどの名将と相打ちなら、それも悪くないわね。
撃ちなよ。その代わり絶対私に当てな。私以外の仲間に当ててみろ。あんたを死ぬより辛い目に遭わせてやる。
怖い。
ダメだよみーちゃん。高野さんは本気。この人本当に撃つよ。なんとか時間を稼ぐんですのよ。そうすれば番犬の誰かがきっと。
もちろん。だから一矢報いる機会がなくならないうちにさっくり一発撃たせてもらうわ。さーて、どこに当たるかしらね。下手くそだからどこに当たっても許してね。
本気ですか？みんな動くんじゃないよ。私は部長さ。みんなを背中に守れるならこんなに嬉しいことはないね。もし当たりどころが悪かった時はさ部活ロッカーの中に神棚を作って私を軍神と称えてや。次期部長はケイちゃんね。みんなそん時は後をよろしく。
Mion is prepared to die. I'm already cornered. I won't accept any words of negotiation. Mion understands that. She doesn't want anyone else to be killed. That's why she chose to be a shield for her friends. It was an easy decision to make for her. None of her friends would end up hurt. If she ends up getting just injured, that would be a stroke of luck as far as she's concerned. Even if she doesn't make it, she thinks that's far better than seeing any of her friends die. That's why Takano will shoot. Even though she understands Mion's noble intentions painfully well, it's too visceral for her to accept. So she'll shoot. I will pull the trigger. All the absurdities of the human world riding on that bullet, I will
あ
shoot
なた
her.
たちよくゲームはするわよね。トランプのババ抜きはやる？
やらないね。うちはジジ抜きばっかだよ。
同じようなルールよ。
So, this one goes back to the very first chapter. The first game that they ever play. They have a deck of cards, and you take out one of the queens, so or you take out all the queens except for one. So you have the one card that just doesn't have a pair, and that's the card you don't want.
人の世の罪はババ抜きと同じ。
But Mion and Takano are saying there's two different versions of this
誰
game.
もが一枚のババを互いに押し付け合う。それは勝者を求めるゲームではなく、一人の敗者
So in Takano's
の
version,
決めるゲーム。
everyone wins except for the person stuck with the card at the end. They are the loser, everyone else wins. They are the sacrifice in her analogy for the world.
私はそのババを引い
Joker is what they're using here. That works as well.
そのカードをもう渡す相手がいない。だからその腹いせにあなたを撃つの。不条理な人の世らしくね。
I'm preparing myself to shoot. There's no hesitation left in me. Shoot her, I'm serious. Mion closed her eyes and opened her arms to try and shield her friends as much as she could. It was when Honey stepped forward and placed herself in front of Mion.
はにゃ、危ないから下がって。勇敢なるミオン。
He Gosh dang it, Debbie.
あなたの勇気はそれで十分です。人の世のババ抜きが
If people are interested in other visual novel stuff, Aegir was streaming last night. There was a different visual novel. It was one I haven't heard of. I really can't say much about it. I just kind of had it on in the background. But yeah, they were definitely interested in it. It was from a developer that they really liked, and they put out this visual novel and they wanted to play it.
それを引き受けるのが私の役目。羽生、あんた何を。私も部活メンバーに加われてよかった。
I love how the text here is Rika, and then she says like a whole sentence.
すごく楽しかったです。私も部活メンバーに加われてよかった。
From what I got from it, it was something like, I was the last member of this club. I had a lot of fun in this world. Thank you for letting me join it.
加わる部活は本当に楽し
But
か
I
っ
just love that the English was just Rika.
た。ありがとう。もう十分に楽しんだ。神の身には過ぎたくらいに幸せだった。
In that moment, Hanyu glared at me
さ
adamantly.
あ撃て。人の子よ。人の世の押し付けずには済まぬ罪を放て。それを受け止めてやる。わかったわ。わかったなら死ね。
Some members must have thought I was joking or bluffing. They didn't think they would actually shoot. There was noise like something exploding. In a world where time became as sticky as syrup, I saw it happen. A silver bullet hitting an invisible wall in front of Hanyu, as though the wall was protecting her. The bullet wanted to pierce Hanyu's chest, but it couldn't reach its goal. A bead of sweat formed on Hanyu's forehead. He stopped the bullet with an invisible force.
大丈夫です。人の身でもこれくらいのことはできますです。
The silver bullet was being pushed back. Takano was startled by this otherworldly phenomenon. Then she spoke one phrase.
この化け物が。
Silver bullet smashed through that invisible wall. There's no longer a wall at all. There's no wall to protect Hanyu from the bullet. The bullet approached Hanyu's chest. Somebody let out a silent scream. Nobody could stop it. Nobody could stop that bullet. In that world of frozen time, nobody could stop the bullet that was stopped just inches in front of Hanyu's chest. So, okay, let's break this down. So, one, this is a reflection of the end of last game, where Keiichi is the one who gets shot. And they have the same reversed color, time is slowing down, we can't do anything, but we're seeing it in super slow motion. Two, the reason why the wall failed is if you look at Hanyu's past, the thing she feared most was being called a monster by other people. And when Takano calls her a monster, which is why there's like a specific screen for it, it breaks her concentration just for long enough that she lowers her guard. Hanyu's friends had seen the scene before, a moment of checkmate. No matter how much they screamed, there was no way to avoid this tragedy. They knew that from their memories. Inverted color simulator.
あなたは死ぬ。好きなだけ走馬灯をご覧なさい。それが終わったら胸板をぶち抜かれて血をばらまいて自分の血で溺れてのたうち回って死になさい。
その覚悟がなかったら僕はミオンの前になんか出ないのです。
And he thought that this would take care of everything. Honey wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. We'd leave the stage and the rest of the cast would stay unharmed. This is how it's supposed to be. In that moment, something happened to surprise even Hanyu. A world of frozen time in which nobody could move. Rika reached out and put her hand on the bullet that was stopped in midair. You forget there's a game sometimes? Even Hanyu couldn't move. Why could a mere human like Rika grab that bullet?
それを驚くのはおかしいわ。あんたと学んできたんじゃない。奇跡の起こし方。今日、何度もすごいことが起こったけれど、本当の奇跡なんて何一つ起こしちゃいないわ。
The cat, now that it's done its antics, is busy falling asleep on the desk next to me. It has its like leg out, pushing away against the other, like, a cart that has like pens and stuff in it.
すべて死んじゃえば起こって当然のことだった。だからこの最後の瞬間に本当の奇跡を使うわ。私、お社様の生まれ変わりだしね。最後にこの程度の奇跡を使わせて。
You could rub the frozen bullet gently, very gently, and held it, and embraced it lovingly, her hands at her chest. In that world where not even Hanyu could
高野
move.
も羽生も人の話を聞かないやつだってことも分かったわ。ミオンの話を聞いてた？私たちはババ抜きなんてやらないわ。
So remember what I said. Two different
ジジ
games.
抜きしかやらない。
So what Takano explained before, Old Maid, there's one loser at the end. But Mion says they play Old Bachelor
それ
instead.
を高野は同じようなゲームだと笑ったけど、全然違うゲームなのよ。
In Old Maid, a single joker, an unharmonized element is added to a full harmonized set of cards, and people try to foist it onto another. In Old Bachelor, one card is removed from that harmonized world, and everyone foists the unharmonized fragments on each other. It's different than having a joker, because everything would be in harmony if there wasn't something missing. Players try to get rid of something in both games. What they try to get rid of is very different.
敗者の手元に1枚カードが残って終わる。それを高野が同じだと例えた気持ちはよくわかるわ。でもね、違うの。だってジジ抜きは
The missing card was added back in, there would be no loser. Hanyu, the missing card in this world where someone has to foist their sins upon another, has joined the game. Oh, but Hanyu's internet's not doing so hot right now, she's disconnected from the game. So this game has no losers. You're still trying to take one card away? The waste of a
敗者
miracle.
なんかこの世界にいらない。これがフルでリカが奇跡を求めた1000年の旅の最後にたどり着いた答え。
Also important to note here, Rika and Hanyu, up until like today, had said that they'd existed for like 1 to 200 years. They've suddenly changed what they've been saying and now say it's 1,000 years. The implication of that, I don't know, but my gut first says when they said 1 to 200 years, that was at the end of the seventh chapter. What my gut says is that means it took them 800 years to go through that bit where they had all the different fragments and to merge them together to get to the point of this world. That they wasted they put 800 years of their lives into that for this one chance. They're inefficient. They just know how to build the client a lot. I think we were 4 streams, approximately. The answer's always been there. It was there in the very first game, first episode, first club game we did. It was always a loser because we were playing a game of cards with one missing. We could fill in the missing card by believing each other and helping each other, then it would become a full deck of 52 cards. A complete world without a loser. A complete world where no one's left out. Nobody has to stay out of the circle. Nobody has to cry or be burdened with sins. A world where everyone holds each other's hands and forgives each other's sins. People live there. There will be sin. But what's important isn't to avoid sins, but to forgive them. Another important thing, if you look at all the other chapters before this, you've had one person who goes crazy. And what do they do when they go crazy? They're blaming other people. In this world, so far, the only person who's really blamed someone is Takano. None of the main group blamed each other for anything. They were supportive. They listened to each other. They helped each other out. And there was no blaming. There was no exchanging of sins in this. No trying to push it onto someone else. Oh, and important announcement. Samus has a cat. A world can only become ugly and twisted when people try to stay pure. Let us accept our sins. Let us all forgive. That's the answer Rikafude reached. Complete world. A world free from the sins of the human world, where one has to become a loser. Rika reached that as a human being. After an unbelievably long time, she finally reached it. Thanks, child. Frozen time had begun to thaw. There was smoke coming from the muzzle of Takano's gun, so it was definitely fired. However, nobody got hit. Samus ate the green gelato? Suspicious. Who picks the green gelato? Denouncement? Are we playing Civilization? Are you denouncing me in front of all the other world leaders? Hey, those troops near your border, they're just passing through like they have been for the past 500 years, okay? They'll get to where they need to be. Keiichi looked around fearfully to make sure nobody was bleeding. They were all fine. Nobody had been shot.
外しやがった。
邪魔はないね。
Tension lifted in Mion's body. She began to sweat all over. If I had an army, I'd abuse my power and enforce this. I haven't heard of the baby Teletubbies. Wait, hang on a minute. The existence of those things means that those things had sex. I didn't use know. Yes, if you're part of my army, the first thing you'd have to memorize for the test is that the Teletubbies had sex and what their kids' names are. First thing on that test. All the club members thought the same thing. It was a miracle that bullet didn't hit anyone. Club members had all felt the same way. They're all thinking if it's going to hit someone, let it be me. However, Rikafude wished for a miracle that was far beyond that. Rika wished for a miracle that was higher than self-sacrifice. He wished for a world where the bullet wouldn't hit anyone. He wished for a world where Takano wouldn't be hurt because she shot someone. Footsteps were rushing towards them. Takano tried to run, but she tripped over a root, and the scrap in her hand scattered everywhere. She tried to gather up the papers. Members of the Bloodhounds surrounded her. All the Bloodhounds pointed their guns her way. Some even poked her with them. Takano didn't stop gathering up the papers. Shows his special bits. Yeah, I did use Renpai to make that game. Renpai is fairly easy, all things considered. I don't know if it has the full range of what people would want in a visual novel. It really depends what you're trying to accomplish in it, but if you just want something that's... Higarashi's at the level where it could have been done in Renpai. You have backgrounds, characters, music, text, a very rare decision, and that's it. Some of the men stepped on the papers, and Takano tried to pull them out from under them. I believe it's Turing complete? She tried to pull them out, begging them in tears not to step on her precious papers.
高野さんさん、あなたを逮捕します。
私が全部悪いことになるのよね。
The club members, feeling bad for her, looked at the ground.
両手を後ろに回せ。こら、抵抗するな。
いやいやよいや、おじいちゃんのスクラップ持ってくの。
Kana just wanted to pick up the pages of her scrapbook. The bloodhound, thinking she was just resisting, pulled on her hair to try to make her stand up. Though this was her fate, it was too hard to watch her be treated that way, and a noble voice resounded among them.
待て。
Radiating with divine light, a man appeared. They all knew this man very well. They'd never seen him look so determined.
彼女は調査部が保護する。しかし、富武に司令部から直ちに東京へ連行せよと命令を受けています。君たちは彼女を見て気づかないのか?
RPG Maker? I've seen one RPG Maker that had a shooting element in it. It was... I can look up the game if you really want to know, but it was, you know, when you're at the arcade and like they have the guns and you have the thing, you know, the screen, and you like move your gun and you can see your cursor on it. It was that, except it was your mouse, and you had to like, you could put your mouse at the edge of the screen and it would scroll up, and you were trying to find certain people and shoot them. That's the only gun shooting thing I've seen in an RPG Maker game. It was well done, and I was quite sad that it... Oh, I almost have the name of it. It's something Days. It was something Days Chapter 1, blah blah blah. It was, I think it was in the Black Lives Matter bundle, if you got that itch.io bundle. That bit happens right at the start. It's very good, and I was quite sad that it didn't get used. I don't think it ever got used again during that whole game.
彼女の全身を見ろ。かきむしった後でいっぱいじゃないか。ひなみ沢症候群のかなり高いレベルの発症が疑われる。
There were lots of horrible scars on her wrists, arms, and neck. Unknown scratched herself throughout the day because of all the stress. There was no way for anyone to be certain if those marks were symptoms of the syndrome. Tomitaki said that, and it certainly sounded true.
しかし、サンサは医療機関で予防薬の投与を受けているはずです。発症するわけがありません。君たちは資料をちゃんと予防薬は 100% の効果を保証するものではないと書いてあるぞ。十分読んでいれば彼女の状態が末期症状であるとわかるはずだ。調査部は彼女の尋問にあたり、ひなみ沢症候群の治療が最優先されると考える。そもそも今回の事件が彼女の意思に基づくものなのか、末期発症による妄想、錯乱によって引き起こされ、それを誰かが利用したのか。慎重な判断がなくては全容解明は不可能であると考える。彼女の罪なのか、彼女の病んだ病の罪なのか。
So right here, this is going to be very important for one person who I imagine will show up very soon, which is Irie. And the whole reason he became a doctor is because his father had some kind of mental illness. And that mental illness turned him from being into a nice person to being abusive and like angry and bitter, and eventually he dies, I believe, because of an altercation he gets into because of it. And to everyone else on the outside, it just looks like, you know, he's become bitter, like he was like this all the time, and he just got tired of holding in all of his anger and aggression, and like, you know, the floodgates opened. But as a doctor, and you have to remember this would have been back in probably like the 60s or something like that, before he like chose to become a doctor. And just that idea that mental illness is so not understood and how it can influence her actions, that people will take those actions as the person themselves and not as a result of their mental illness.
この場で断言するのは不可能だ。それを判断するためにも、彼女には治療を受ける権利があり、義務がある。
次郎さん。
彼女を直ちに医療機関本部へ移送し、発症レベルの検査に入る。高野三佐の治療体制を準備させるよう、医療二佐に連絡を。
Specifically, he's saying, take her so that we can find out what level she is at.
ただしサンサについては今後厳重に監視をつけ、全ての行動には制限が加えられるものとする。詳細は調査部長岡一佐から上級司令部を通して命令があるはずだ。
Bloodhounds conveyed all this information over the radio. Nobody had any objections. The job was to arrest her, after all, and the interrogations or investigation after were the job of the investigators. If those were the orders from investigations, then that was that. Tomitake walked over to the muddy figure of Takano. Takano buried her face in Tomitake's chest and cried. Only Tomitake and Takano knew the meaning of those tears.
君を迎えに来たよ。君がそうだと思っているような悪いやり直そう。今度こそ君の本当の人生を。
できない私いっぱい罪にまみれた。やり直したりなんかしちゃいけない。じゃなきゃ。
そうだね。君の罪はでも大丈夫。僕が一緒だから。だから一緒に償おう。高野美代の罪を償おう。そして僕と一緒に田無美代子を取り戻そう。その日まで僕は決して君のそばを離れない。
生きてていいの？私は生きてていいの？みんながお前が死ねば丸く収まるって私に言うよ。それでも私は
世界は君を許さないかもしれない。でもそれが何だってんだい。僕が君を許す。だから生きよう。
I'm pretty sure this echoes something Keiichi says to Rena at the top of the schoolhouse after their fight, when Rena's like, I've killed people, I've gone past the point of no return. And I'm pretty sure Keiichi says almost word for word this thing of, so what if the world doesn't forgive you? I'll forgive you. And that was part of the miracle that stopped her from going insane. So if we apply that same logic here, Tomitake is the Keiichi of this situation, making sure that she doesn't go insane and keeps killing more people, which validates what he was saying, that she does have Hinamizawa syndrome and was insane for the purposes of this ending. Not to mention you have the same melodic influences taking place in both of them. After a while, Takano was taken to the Irie Institute in handcuffs. He was, however, handcuffed with her hands in front of her. He was holding the scrapbook. Tomitake had cleaned the mud off of it. Thank you for the hydrate. The downpour from the early afternoon had passed. The cicadas began singing again, reminding everyone that this was a normal June in Hinamizawa. It was so hot, despite being June. The sky was brilliantly clear. Someone asked someone else the time. She looked at her watch. It was 3 p.m. The Watnagashi Festival would be starting at 5. It was almost time. Even from there, the Furude Shrine could be seen. There were red lanterns hanging all over. As the sun went down, those lanterns would be lit. It's almost time for the Watnagashi Festival. And with that, everything would end. And the Higurashi cry. The game that stretched across different worlds has ended. What the winner obtained after the victory was that. The game ended, without a loser. Anya was prepared to leave after the game was over. She was still there. She was allowed to be there. In other words, she wasn't the card that was taken away. The card that was taken to play the game of Old Bachelor was no longer there. The breeze rustled Hanu's sweaty, messed up hair. She was dumbfounded. Reek went over and stood next to her. She didn't need to say anything. She only smiled at Hanu. That girl had pretended to be a bystander, but decided to step onto the stage, and she thought that was enough and tried to step off of it. Those memories of her bright time on stage, she tried to step off, but someone grabbed her sleeve and stopped her. She was told that she could stay. She realized she was still on the stage, and she didn't have to leave after all. He broke down and got ice cream? Does that mean Stream is a Wendy's now? And that was an unbelievable miracle. She didn't even exist in the script. Nobody needed her to be there. The miracle had allowed her to stay. Stream is Wendy's, does that make you Wendy? Is every employee at owner of a Wendy's just canonically a Wendy? You see like a beefy man like walking out like, yeah, I'm the manager. My name's Wendy. I do have ice cream, but I had ice cream yesterday. We have strawberry and we have Reese's peanut butter cup. See, if I have something after stream, it'll be, first of all, it'll be popcorn. But second of all, we made pizza today for dinner, and we each had like a whole pizza, and we made it like thick crust, 3 kinds of cheese, sardines, and what else? Pepperoni, and then we mashed up our own. We had some old tomatoes, we mashed it and added it to the tomato sauce, so it was like a chunkier thing. It was good and filling. You must greet customers by saying, "Hello, welcome to Wendy's. You're clearly inside the machine, child. This is why our ice cream machine doesn't work. There is a child inside of it." Rika smiled at Honey one more time and passed her what was in her right hand. Honey felt something cold and hard. What was it? Honey slowly opened her hand and looked at it. It was the bullet Takano had fired. This was the proof of their miracle. It was the proof that Hanyu could exist there. Proof that they could be together forever and ever. Specifically, she said we'll have so much fun at the festival. Are they testing the speakers? Still bright outside. There's music playing already. A cheap dubbed background music collection of festival music could be heard from the Furude Shrine in the distance. It sounded so exciting to her. This was what she'd wanted to join in on all this time. Rika held her hand. Let's go together. Go to the Watnagashi Festival. All of us. Together. Yeah. They had almost too much energy left. It had been a long day and many things had happened. Still had the energy to go to the festival. It was, after all, the special day of Watnagashi. Curse of Oishirasama had been lifted. No tragedy would ever occur again. It was the first peaceful Watnagashi, the first one without a tragedy since the dam conflict. Villagers had noticed that the phone lines were disconnected during the day. It was fixed so quickly that they didn't pay much attention. They heard the Special Defense Force helicopter near the mountains. A rumor had it they came to the wrong place for their training. Elderly villagers laughed and said that the young men of the National Defense Force need to pay more attention. Yeah, no tragedy. Nothing bad will ever happen again. Some people say this Special Defense Self-Defense Force even came to the Irie Clinic. Villagers didn't even get suspicious about that. They assumed that the Irie Clinic had started doing physical checkups for the SDF. I mean, it would also, if you have, like, training, it's also not unheard of that, someone gets injured during a training exercise. There were pieces of broken glass on the roadside near the village border, as if there was an accident. Some people wondered how anyone could have an accident when there was no obstruction on the road. Elderly people said, others said to each other that they always have to drive carefully, even on a familiar road. Looked like only a trace of a normal accident. What does the Hulk taste like? So they didn't get suspicious. Mint. The rest was a ghost story. Or if they make you angry. I do love chocolate. Mint chocolate chip is my favorite ice cream flavor. Villagers heard an extra firework to signal the festival's taking place. It wasn't an echo. People in charge of the fireworks were puzzled, but when Rika said Oishiro somehow must have shot the extra firework, the villagers simply believed that was true. It's mint chocolate chip. First of all, I'm not really a big fan of, like, chocolate-flavored desserts. If it's just plain chocolate. Like, if it's just, like, plain chocolate cake, plain chocolate ice cream, it's a no. It has to be mixed with something. Like chocolate peanut butter, good. Chocolate raspberry, good. Mint chocolate chip, good. And then mint's just, like, such a wonderful, like, light flavor. Especially, like, I don't know, it's just such a nice dessert, like, after dinner flavor to me. How do you feel about a chocolate bacon? I've not had chocolate bacon. I actually don't like peanut butter by itself. I don't like peanut butter, and even just like peanut butter toast, I'm not really a fan of. Like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, they're okay, I guess. You picked the wrong flavor of ice cream, Yugi. And now, your soul will be trapped forever inside the Shadow Realm. Bye, Yugi. Villagers forgot their worries and enjoyed themselves. Club members were doing great as usual. I love how all this is being mimed with no sound effects. I also love how the teacher's there with her attendance book being like, "Hey guys, we're having too much fun at the festival. That's a detention." Chaos is here to say that pralines and cream is the best. They were doing so great, they were all taken to the main tent and yelled at by the mayor. That was normal Wat Nagashi night for the villagers. There was one thing that was very different. The girls fought for an unimaginably long time in many different worlds for the sake of this night. However, nobody would ever know that. We were talking about ice cream. Oh, there was another big change too. And it's that Chaos can't be trusted ever since he announced this to everyone. I don't know why you're covered in goo. Did Chaos finally give you a donut? Chaos, first of all, don't be speaking about yourself in the third person. Second of all, don't be giving donuts to people. The goo-covered donuts. Rikafurude said she wants to go to a pool in the summer. It's unusual for her to say she wants to do something. She wants to see the stars, she wants to go on a camping trip, she wants to look at the sunflowers, she wants to make the school into a haunted house, etc. So many things that she wants to do over the summer break. Right, Rikafurude for the first time is making plans for after June 1983. This is the first summer break she's going to experience after 100 years. They've switched back from saying 1,000 years to 100 years. Does Milk Daddy go well with a goo donut? She will now experience an all-new summer vacation. Who would stop her from getting excited about that? Rikafurude is looking forward to waking up before Sadako to rip the page off the calendar at the end of June. Rikafurude's infinite future has begun. There are infinite possibilities, yet she can make only one choice. That's why it's a great world. Let's talk for a moment about the people who fought for Rikafurude. This is like at the end of like a movie and you're like, and this person went on to become a doctor and saved hundreds of lives. Jimbo is still the town goofball. But now he has a part-time job at the comedy club. Can we plead the fifth as a collective? Mion Sonozaki is about to study hard so she can continue her education after the summer break. For Keiichi, even that may not be enough time for her. However, how can the legendary club leader Mion Sonozaki fail an entrance exam? She'll more than likely find a way to get into the school she wants to go to. So, for those of you who are slightly confused, some high schools in Japan have an entrance exam. Similar to like the SATs kind of in the US, except they do it at an individual level. So each school has their own exam. And some schools are known like, oh, this is like the art school, this one's for like foreign languages, especially like English, French, something like that. This is like a math and science school. So a lot of people are supposed to kind of know the direction they want to go to, even by high school. If you want to get into something specialized, a lot of people will know that before they're in high school. What's the quote you're trying to find? I can do a search through the quote list and try and find it for you. Hopefully, it isn't an illegal one. However, she's looking forward to enjoying her final summer break, so she has tons of plans. Chaos's sex techniques can be described as, why do you want to be by 5:30 a.m.? The club members can't get away from Mion even during the summer. Once you're involved with her, she'll always find a way to get at you. No matter how much you want to be alone, never go back to spending a boring summer by yourself. Keiichi Maiber has been asked by Mion and Chie-sen to be their next class president. He was also asked to be the next club leader too, but he declined immediately. Keiichi likes the club because Mion runs it. He continued saying it's Mion's club until she got mad. Keiichi can't understand why she's so angry. Well, Keiichi wouldn't be Keiichi if he wasn't dense. But things are rather lively around him again today. His good name continues to spread even in Okonomiya. So what's the answer? And Ryugu is growing more energetic every day too. She's kidnapping all of the girls. Sadako, Rika, and Hani spend every day in fear of being abducted by her. By 5 a.m. Oh, it's been a long time since I've had a 5 a.m. alarm, but those ones hurt. My 5 alarm says this to wake me up. It goes, Bowser, you can't give me back my princess. Still, she's been acting more mature lately. Takes care of her younger classmate. She's almost like a mother figure to the class. She's like a mother to all of the club members, too. Play your trap card? My wife had this thing on the other day, and it was someone went through like the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh! And pointed out every single thing that just doesn't make sense. So for example, they're like, oh, like, whatever, they played this card and said it has this effect. They look at the card, no it doesn't. Or like, oh, I use Sword of Light. And they like use it to have physics that just don't exist. After hearing that, Keiichi said he'd be a father for the class. As usual, Brenna thought too much about that and blushed. Yeah, and some of them were just, you know, like, just remember, this is a kid's card game. Why does a kid's card game have flamethrowers that burn the loser? And there's like a whole bunch of stuff on why Joey is the worst player of all time. Like, Joey forgot he had this card. Also, Joey just randomly attacks people when his monster has fewer attack points, just hoping it will magically beat them. Sometimes it does. Yeah, the buzzsaws. If you've never seen, Pro ZD has like a short video on Yu-Gi-Oh! And why Yugi likes playing all these dangerous games. It's... if you haven't seen it, go take a look at it. It's like a minute. Sadako Hojo is as lively as ever. She used up most of her traps on the mountain during the battle with the mountain dogs, so she started setting up new ones for the next event. Rumor has it some members of the Bloodhounds are so impressed with her trap techniques, they've asked her for some lessons. It's supposed to be a training area near Mount Fuji that they've asked her to set up traps there. It's not a very good idea. The Sea of Trees will really become a forest of no return. That's probably a reference to the suicide forest in Japan, which is famous for people going in and committing suicide in, because it's supposed to be haunted. Yeah, after like the original like tournament of Yu-Gi-Oh! I probably watched every episode of that, some of like the next season, and then I vaguely remember the Battle City tournament. I don't think I finished that. And then after that, the only season I remember after that is the one where they're on motorcycles, and your motorcycle goes faster as the turns go. That's all I remember from that one. Either way, Sadako keeps saying she wants to fight against the Bloodhounds next. She's invincible. Also, she's become a great cook, because Hanyu has been teaching her. According to Hanyu, Sadako is a quick learner, as compared to Rika. Sadako's dream is to master fried chicken, which is her brother's favorite, and welcome him home with it. I'm the only one who knows this. Her dream may come true very soon. As for her brother, Satoshi Hojo is yet to return home. His condition is unchanged. If there's been any change, it's in Shion Sonozaki. She goes to the clinic on her days off. Nobody knows why she goes there, but she seems to be very happy, so nobody pays much attention to it. Mian's teased Shion by saying that maybe she's planning to get implants, but Shion just smiles. For whatever reason, she's been visiting her relative's clothes shop and buying all kinds of men's clothing. Lately, she's even started buying more than just men's clothing, but why is she so excited when she visits the clinic with a maid outfit that's not in her size? The truth is shrouded in mystery. What? The biggest change is probably that Shion babies Sadako nowadays. She tries to make Sadako call her Nene, which only annoys Sadako. To me, Yu-Gi-Oh had like 3 seasons, and then after that, it wasn't Yu-Gi anymore, so it stopped being Yu-Gi-Oh. Irie has 2 jobs now. On one hand, he's a respected doctor, and on the other hand, he's an evangelist for maids. Chaos works for him. The Irie clinic was supposed to be closed, but the villagers plead with the authorities not to shut it down. Well, Irie isn't originally from the village. He and everyone else feels that he's one of the villagers now. He's an indispensable part of village life. The conservative attitude towards Hinamizawa syndrome is gone, and now it's being researched very proactively. Syndrome is being researched so passionately that, hopefully in the near future, all the victims of the disease will be freed for good. Also, later on, Irie will publish an advanced article about the influence of the brain on human behavior, which will surprise people in the medical world. I won't go into the details here, but I'll talk about how one should hate the sins instead of the sinner. The deceased Hifumi Takano and Mio Takano's names will be mentioned in that article. Chiro Tomitake still visits Hinamizawa every season. He is still known as the fighting, traveling photographer and continues to walk around the village looking for good picture spots. Multiple seasons of show. So for me, you had the original one where they're on the island for the battle where they have to get the, whatever it is, the 10 stars on their stupid ring bracelet. And then after that, didn't they have the one where they go inside one of their friends' like minds using a machine that Seto Kaiba designs, and his little brother gets pissed off and sends them in there? To me, that's another season. And then Battle City's another season. Samus says if you give me a keyword, I can search for it. However, he isn't seen in the village as much as before. His bicycle's always parked around the back of the clinic, so maybe he spends a lot of time there. You think it's 3? Is it about making faces at your friend's streams? Some villagers say maybe he's sick and being treated, but his bright smile proves they're wrong. Mio Takano hasn't been seen since that day. Nobody knows where she's gone, but obviously Tomitake isn't worried, so she must be doing fine. She's probably in the basement. She'll probably show up one day out of nowhere and start telling ghost stories to scare some kids. If it's something you said, chat quote 5 says you're the breast mod. Chat quote 6 says your sausage exploded while you're trying to eat. Chat quote 7 is you can't cook old people. What else has Samus has said? That's all of the ones you've said. Yeah, stream did have a tiny blip there. I think we're good now. Yeah, if it's about being a Catboy, that'll be in Mim stream. As for us, Akasaka, what happened to him was pretty funny. His wife and daughter followed him in secret. They pretended to run into him at the festival. Kurika called him Papa, so things complicated all of a sudden. Akasaka's wife smiled, but she choked his neck with her braided hair. Her arms were folded, but her braid moved like a tail. Squeeze. He tortured him in and destroyed a special forces unit without even using a weapon. Rika continued to tease him, making the situation even worse. However, Akasaka's family liked Hinamizawa and they said they wanted to come back. Akasaka's daughter and Rika grew so close that they seemed like sisters. Oishi had gotten back into playing mahjong. For whatever reason, Akane Samazaki joined his table too. Rumors a riot squad almost got dispatched to the mahjong parlor one time. His colleagues say Oishi's calmed down quite a bit. It's probably because he's reached closure within himself. His colleagues know nothing about that. He's planning to move to Hokkaido when he retires, but he wants to come back every summer. His bright second life is waiting for him. Kasai hasn't changed much compared to the others. To some people, this was a life-changing event, but for Kasai, it's just another episode added to his tale of heroics. It was in this context he said it about Daddy Kevin. You're not allowed back in the church, are you? Daddy in the Breast Mod, the sitcom we always wanted. According to Kasai, this incident was just a little bigger than usual. This was just a little unusual, and what in the world would be needed to impress him? Jian insists that he will tell her, but Kasai only tells her that that's a secret. Also, he regretted exposing that part of his past. Shion keeps begging him to tell her all about it. He simply ignores her. Let me talk about myself, too. I, Hanyu, am doing great in my new life as Hanyu Furude. Finally getting better at playing games, and now I'm taking the role of the club's dark horse, a position formerly reserved for Keiichi Maibara. I have a bad habit of believing everything I hear, so me and the others always tell me some strange things. Thanks to that, I'm getting tougher, to put it in a good way. Shrewd, to put it in a bad one. Then I need to, otherwise I wouldn't survive in this club. I'm going to continue to learn a lot of stuff through these club activities so I can live in this human world. Sunday, June 19th, 1983. Night falls on my longest day of the past 1,000 years. Club members are having a blast. A lot of people are here. Stall vendors are still doing business. The speakers are blaring rough yet exciting festival music. I've known all of these, but how wonderful it is to actually feel and hear them in person. I thought I knew. Because I've been following and watching them. That was completely different. You cannot ban Chaos yet. You can blame him. I knew of it, but this is the first time I've actually experienced it. That takoyaki eating contest. No octopus in it. It was still very tasty. There we go, we blamed Chaos 90 times, but we think he likes it. We had a shaved ice eating contest. Chaos is like a super uncle at this point. I would have enjoyed the shaved ice if I'd eaten it more slowly. I bought a candied apple for the first time. Everyone took a bite from it. It was tasty. It was fun. I played a shooting game. I didn't know how difficult it would be to shoot a target. It was fun too. I also played a shady lottery game. It's one of those ones where you pulled a string and got a prize. Nobody got a good prize. We all complained about it to the vendor. That too was just so much fun. Then it was time for the dedication dance. Of course, we go there early, so we commandeered the best seats. I snuck out and stood where I was told to. I could see better than the other club members. This was the spot where the object of worship sat. This is where I was supposed to be during the ritual dance. No, this is where I thought I had to be. Seeing the dance from the spot wasn't fun. Therefore, I returned to where I was and sat down with everyone else. They saved me a spot. Everyone rubbed my head while asking where I went. I apologized by saying, "Ow, ow." That made me very happy. I watched the performance in the crowd of people. The best dance I've witnessed in the past 1,000 years. I couldn't keep either my happiness or my tears from flowing out. After the dance was over, a handful of cotton was passed around to all the villagers. We let the cotton absorb all the filth and sins of the past year and wash it down the stream. Schedule. Cotton is cotton. Obviously, it's not human. Use cotton instead of human, but nobody is sad, especially Sherb. She hates when human goes to waste. In other words, this is the way to purify sins without making anyone suffer. Schedule. My schedule for this week was dentist. My wife had dentist. We had an event at a restaurant across town. There, I hope that wasn't a more natural statement for you. That was our actual schedule for this week. Early Amy the Cotton took the letter I from her name during last year's Watangashi and washed it down the stream. By doing so, she was freed from her suffering and began a new life. Eschidule. We drifted our sins down the stream. It's not the same as pushing our sins onto the cotton. Instead, we wash away our own sins and forgive ourselves. I do know some people who pronounce it schedule, which I don't like. Schedule is how I'd say it. We forgive each other, we help each other, and that's how we create our own story. Put my cotton in the stream gently. You also pronounce it science. I have science homework for tonight. The cotton went down the stream into the world where sins are cleaned. I let my bare feet soak in the clear stream as I watched the long, long line of cotton flowing down the stream in the dark, surrounded by people sending their cotton flowing down the wondrous stream. Science rather than science. It's science. Anyone who tells you it's science is wrong. This is a complete world where all the fragments were put together. This is an ideal world. What else is there? What else do you need? Anifurude still wants more. Because we can be even happier than this. We can be happier if we wish to be. Not a long time from now, but in the near future. There is one thing. There is a secret Beardy command that I don't know if anyone's actually done yet. Let me see if it actually works. There, it works. Oh, that probably means I need to renew my subscription to you. Oh, does it have a timer? Do you get caught in the timer? What did I set the timeout for this for? Okay, it has a 1 minute cooldown. Let me just remove that cooldown. There you go. Stop banning mooses, Mises. Told you, it's in the near future. You'll be happy then too, see? So that's the end of the normal ending. We still have the true ending to do. Which I think we can get through tonight, hopefully. If we're super lucky, everyone is entitled to happiness. The difficult part is accepting that. Everyone is entitled to happiness. The difficult part is fulfilling that. I too am entitled to happiness. The difficult part is working out a compromise. Because from now on, I'm going to live a much, much happier life. I'm not going to compromise with just this. We'll retrieve all the happiness we missed. 100 years worth for me, 1,000 years worth for you. It's time for me to read stuff really quickly. A report on the coup d'etat of the Erie Institute proposal. Regarding the coup d'etat of the Erie Institute, one of the responsibilities of the Erie Institute, hereafter the Institute, was the administration of Emergency Manual 34. Certain personnel, however compromised, conspired to execute the manual under false circumstances and accepted bribes to use these individuals, including Institute Subdirector Mio Takano and the First Lieutenant Okanagi. Authorities of the Institute were detained immediately, and the response team was attacked in detail, surrendered immediately to secure the headquarters. Regarding the commissioned officers and the commanders of the Institute, Director confirmed he had nothing to do with the incident, responsibility taken over from his capacity. Mio ran tests, the Hinamizawa syndrome, she was recovered, she'll be moved over to the disciplinary committee. Okanagi, First Lieutenant, bribed on purpose, contributed greatly. Hinamizawa syndrome will conclude research in 3 years after it's fully... well... So that was a message from Nomura. Schedule. By the way, this song in the background, which is going to be DMCA'd, is Hanyu singing over one of the songs that often plays during happy times. All I can tell you of the Japanese here is that it's the romanization of what's written there. They're thanking certain people. I see 07th expansion there. Dai is one of the musical artist groups that did a bunch of the songs for this game. These are probably other ones that gave them music and stuff for their background. Yeah, there we go. Dai did the music and arrangement. And the recording. You gotta remember to thank MPEG Layer 3 audio coding technology. That's always important. 07th expansion, which is the ones responsible for the mods we've done. And so this ends what would be the second season of the anime. The third season actually came out on game, like brand new, in June, I think it was. We're not diving into that right after this. But the third season is in-game. Or at least it's one of the arcs of the third season. The third season had like a couple like smaller arcs. Steins Gate. So the only other Steins Gate games there's some side games. There's Linear Bound Phenagram and Darling My Honey Embrace. Linear Bound Phenagram is a basically retelling of the first game, but from all the other characters' perspectives instead of Okabe's. Darling, My Honey Embrace is like a moe love story nonsense. Okay, we've received a new tip. I think this is... So we have a couple things left to do. We have the true ending, reading all the tips, and the message from the developer. We're going to start with the longest part of that, which is probably the true ending. Alright. So I have the secret ending. Okay, so let's... I think it's in extras. We have chapter jump. If we jump to connecting fragments, I have on this screen the secret ending. I'm gonna skip through this. We've done all of this before. This is just telling us that there's fragments. We need to go through the fragments and do them in order. So, we are going to skip through all these fragments because there are 52 of them. We have done 51 of them. 52 is the secret true ending fragment. So I apologize if this is boring. But we are doing all of these. So we're going to go in, we're going to skip. You're going to hear a lot of text, flashing, and a lot of just noise. There we go. One down already. Where's 2? 2 is on screen 5. Bottom right. I'm kind of sad this didn't have it memorized already. Because we did do this in the correct order the first time. I'm kind of sad this didn't save it. 3 is on screen 2. Top right. The other thing is if I misclick, we have to redo all of this. So I will save probably like every 10. Just in case I misclick on something. Actually, if I jump to page 7, okay. There'll be one fragment that gets added here and then another one. Crap, that was 3, so 4 is screen 3. This one, yes. Samus is filled with determination. And the therapist passed them a note which reads, "Welcome to the meat shower. Your therapist invites you to the meat shower. I advise you to find a new therapist." 5 is this one. These are going pretty quickly. I think last time, like I said, I think this took us 4 streams to go through all of these ending bits. So we're getting through about 10 a stream. Number 6 is this one. We've already almost gone through 6. So we've already done like almost half a stream worth of content. The worst part is I know the true ending to this. I think in that tip we got, there is something about doing them in a specific order. How you were expected to figure out exactly what that order is. You can see at the bottom here, it has things like the research needs to have stagnated. Instructions for the kidnapping operation of the minister's grandson are required. There's a little bit of information that helps you figure out which ones are needed before others. That being said, at any given time, there's still probably like 5 that you could do. And until you get to the end, which initially there's 50 unlocked. if every time you have 5 choices, whatever 5 choices essentially 50 times is the answer. This is 8. I don't know how someone figured this out, if it was revealed by the developer, because yes, it would be ridiculous. I'm also hoping that the guide I'm following is actually correct, because if it's not correct, that would be horrible. This one. Okay, so speaking of people who have nothing better to do with their lives, I was watching a video this afternoon, and it was on myths and challenges for The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So the person who did the video provided this. At one point, first of all, Legend of Zelda people have often done ridiculous challenges, and figured out... Why is it? Okay, there we go. It's like, why is this one different? So, in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, if you haven't played it, I shouldn't have to give you spoiler warnings for like a 25-year-old game. As an adult, Link can go back to the ranch. That was 10, so let's save. You can go back to the ranch, and you can challenge the owners of the ranch to a race. And if you beat them, they'll challenge you again. And if you beat them a second time, they'll be like, "Is that Epona? Stupid horse. I was going to give that to Ganondorf as a present." Well, they lost the horse to you in a bet. And they're like, "Well, fine, you can have the horse, but I'm locking you in here and you can never leave, haha." And then eventually you just jump out with the horse. So you get to pick from 2 horses. There's Epona and there's another horse. And Epona was the only horse you could win with, or so people thought. So there was this rumor that went around that said if you were able to beat him with the other horse, the lore was that if they were going to give Epona to Ganondorf as a present, that means that if you win Epona off them, the other horse would go to Ganondorf as the present, meaning that other horse is Ganondorf's horse. So people were being like, "Oh, if you can beat him with the other horse, you can literally just ride Ganondorf's horse around instead of Epona." This was like way back, like 10 years ago, and since we've decompiled it, we know this is not true, and that it is impossible, or at least was impossible, to actually do this. Although people did try. Sorry, I'm trying to find where the heck is number 12. 12. I can Control F this. Where's 12? Thank you. Screen 3, bottom 3, bottom right. So, people tried this, and the person who did this video had a version of the game where they could do stuff. So they tried some things. They despawned the gate so that you can go inside and do the lap and beat the guy. But there's checkpoints that you have to hit to be allowed to consider like you've beaten it. Otherwise, you could just, make opponent do a loop and go back and, "Hey, I crossed the finish line first." So there's checkpoints along the outside that you have to hit. They also tried despawning the farm guy's horse so that he couldn't move. The problem is that his horse and your horse are the same asset, so then you're both just stuck floating there. And no one can move, and the game is soft-locked. Now, eventually, someone did find a way around this. It is only on the 3DS remake version, and the solution is this. So you're doing a lap. What you do is you get to the halfway point, and you stop. The other dude will keep going, but because the 3DS is not as performant as a console, and they added improvements. There is a render distance, and the render distance is shorter than you to the end of the track. So what happens is if this is the track, you're both going, you make it to here, you stop, he keeps going. As he gets far enough away, he actually despawns. And then you can finish it at a leisurely pace because his model doesn't exist anymore. And if you do this and you win both races, you can do this with both races. What just happens is when you jump out and there's like a cutscene afterwards where you're jumping off of this like cliff that should, break Epona's legs and absolutely kill her, it just switches the model of the horse. Other things that they found out is because you could despawn stuff, you could actually spawn in the models for Ganon's horse as well as Zelda's horse, but because they were only used in cutscenes, they're not interactable and just stand there galloping. So you can't actually ride them. There is, however, someone who is doing a mod of where they just replace Epona's model with Ganon's horse model. There's also someone doing a mod where you just play as Ganon instead. They replace adult Link's model with Ganon. Yeah, Beauty and I were talking about this earlier this week, but I also saw one, and it was ways you can get soft locked in games. Yeah, there's a lot of cool ones like that. They also have, now that we can like decompile code and run it through like an emulator or something. People have been doing stuff such as, oh, this boss is supposed to be unbeatable. What if I raise Mario's attack power to 999? Or drop the boss's HP to 1? What happens if I beat this supposedly unbeatable boss? Or conversely, what happens if I lose this fight that was scripted for me to win it? Because it was scripted in such a way, like an entry fight in a game where the enemy has 5 HP and your attacks always do 1 damage and you have more HP than them and you move first. 16. The answer is basically every single time they just act as if you won or lost it according to what they expected the outcome of the fight to be. There was also one I saw recently about, and I think this was by the same group, and it was called Why Shouldn't You Enter Zelda's Castle in Ocarina of Time at Night? So, to beat Zelda, you have to break into Hyrule Castle, and you have to do this, like, there's this whole section where there's guards. I don't know why there's so many guards here, when literally the only entrance and exit is through this tiny, like, hole in a waterway. There's no entrance from anywhere, like, there's no, like, courtyard entrance or anything. So I don't know why there's so many guards here. So I'm just trying to find, we're 17. So, if you go in at night, there's just guards standing there, and if they see you, and you can't go past them, they'll just be like, hey, get out of here, and they'll kick you out. And they tried adding, like, super jumps so they would, like, jump over them, but apparently their, like, view cone is infinitely tall. So what they eventually did is they despawned them. And what Nintendo did is, since they never expected anyone to get past it, they didn't add any other camera angles. They also didn't add, like, collision in other maps. So they had like hack in with a free view camera, and you can hack yourself into the area that you can see through the window with Zelda to where Ganon is kneeling. And they actually did add collision in that area. That area does have collision, but it's like literally just the scope of what you can see from the window. As soon as you're outside of it, it's just pure darkness and you fall. Also, the skybox in that area is always set to daytime because they never considered you to actually make it there during nighttime, so it's always daytime in there, no matter what the actual in-game clock says. There's 18. 18's on screen 5. This one. Yes, game developers take shortcuts, and a lot of times this is for performance. The idea of hidden polygons, which is a polygon that you can't see, and therefore is useless in rendering, is like reducing your polygon count in a scene is a very sought after skill. And for example, in that scene where you look through the window with Zelda into the hallway where Ganon's supposed to be kneeling for the king, the guards that are there that you can see on either side of Ganon don't have a backside polygons, because no one would ever see them from behind. So they're just textured on the front, and if you go behind them, you see that they're just like a concave shell, because no one was ever expected to look at them from behind, so they save those polygons. That was 18. 19 is back on screen 1. No, they actually use different assets for these guards so that they could reduce the polygon count. That would take up more, space on the game. Yes, no clip is great for seeing things like this. For those of you who don't know no clip, you can basically just free roam game worlds with a camera. Is on screen 4, top right. This will save because we've done 20. Okay, we'll save because we've done 20. We're actually almost halfway done. We're actually going pretty quickly. It's amazing how fast you go when you just fast forward through everything. Okay, 21 is back on screen 1. It's this one. No, it won't show that. So I also learned from watching that video the speedrun method for getting Epona as an adult in Ocarina of Time. Because you're supposed to do this race, you're supposed to do it twice, and if you lose the race, and the race takes, I think it's like, with the race itself plus the cutscenes, it's like a minute per race, so it's like 2 minutes, maybe 2.5. The speedrun strat is, if you are able to jump over the fence, which you're supposed to do with Epona after he locks you in, it just assumes you jumped over it with Epona. So what they did is they got themselves there, put their shield up, put bombs around them, so that the collision forced them up and over the fence, and that's the speedrun strat for that. Okay, that was 22, 20. I love how they're still talking. How are the collision layers done? 23, 24 is screen 2. He's been energetic since his nap. He tried to knock this off twice. The tools you had in the elephant ear, he was playing with them, he got into the plant pot. So I moved those tools up there to that plant where he couldn't get them.
Is he naughty?
Mm-hmm.
My nails cut.
I tried to clip some of his nails, he was not having it. 24 is 25. This one, yes. Yeah, there are times when there's like a single room that's weird. I know in Banjo-Kazooie there's one room that is super slow because of some like weird asset thing in the middle of it. And it's only when you're looking at it, I think. It has like a bunch of hidden polygons. So the speedrun strat is just not looking at it. 26 is this one. Yes. Puzzle room with 2 layers. You aren't expected to get behind the puzzle during layer 1. There's collision in the front preventing you from going forward without solving the puzzle. There's no collision inside the puzzle area or from behind. You glitch through. And to enter the puzzle backwards, you will fall to the bottom. Sucks.
いやちょっと待ってただ
26, 27 is this one. Oh, he also knocked this. Ah, I see. Interesting. 28. It's all the way on to screen 5. This one.
Sadoko. 全然。あ、そこ。あた。あた。今日部活全。
There was another thing I saw that Nintendo had missed in Ocarina of Time, which was as Child Link. As Child Link, if you're in the town square off of one of the side areas, there's a guard who's like slumped up against the wall, and if you talk to him, he's like, oh, Ganon invaded, took the castle, and then he like slumps over and dies. First of all, clearly Ganon hasn't invaded the castle yet. Because we're still in the child timeline. Second of all, if you leave and go back in, he is unslumped at this point. So the theory that the person in the video presented was that originally there was supposed to be like an intermediate between young Link and old Link, where like you arrive and Ganon is like actively attacking the castle and trying to take it over, to give you more context probably when you become an adult as to why you're like, you know, what happened and why you're trying to stop this quest. But then they took it out because it was too like long and confusing, but they left this one dude in and forgot to take him out.
Why are you fast forwarding?
So we're trying to do this secret ending, which requires us to view 52 things in a very specific order, but we've already seen all of it.
I see.
And that was 29, where's 30? Screen 5. I hope I've got it right, or that this guide has it right. I have not heard this theory. The house Link's in Ocarina of Time is his mother as a tree?
それを年に1回悪く言うと
Like, is the implication that the Kokiri, when they die, become trees? Or that... Actually, that would kind of track, as in Wind Waker, and past that, the Kokiri are tree people. Oh yes, but Link is Hylian. Yeah. Maybe it's like an adoptive mother. So what's their explanation for Hylanian mother being a tree? Is it like, are they talking physically? Are they talking like what's it called? Like metaphorically? Interesting. 31. Oh, because they can't survive, they turn into trees. I see. Okay. Let's save. I should have saved after 30, but we made it to 31. $32 is right next to 31.
いつで当分は戻ってこれないと思うので、貞子喜んでくれると。バット。
はて。
So you just chat in the chat at this point.
For this part, yeah. Then we have the secret ending. We have there's like a couple like things that are unlocked post game to do. But yes. But we're going through this because it's basically me going through and being like, oh, the next number's here. Click it. Click fast forward. We talk.
犯行を認めた後に捨てたと称する場所から発見できれば検察も納得してくれるでしょう。
So do we know, is the Deku tree then a non-Kokiri who got turned into the tree, or has it always been like the tree god watching over them? If you look at Wind Waker, it's one of the great Hylian gods. You have the Deku tree, you have the giant fish, which is supposed to be on Great Fish Isle, but it gets attacked by Ganon and it ends up in the back of Outset Island. And you have the giant dragon that's roosting at Dragon Roost Island. Voldu, I believe, is its name. 35 is on screen 4. The only one on screen 4 we haven't done. Because you have those, and then you have the gods who are part of the Triforce. Favor, Naru. Can't remember the name of the last one. Who are the ones who created the Triforce, and I believe the world in general. Yes. Yeah, it's supposed to be the god that watches over the Kokiri and the forest, Kokiri Forest. 37's on screen 3. And I mean, we also know from Ocarina of Time that when the Deku Tree dies, the baby Deku Tree is born from its corpse. assume that's you sending it to me. I was also watching a bit from Breath of the Wild, and it was, there's the one divine beast, that's the one that's flying, and there's the dead bird companion who's like, oh, I can help you fly up to it, because you can't get there without me. And then people are like, I can find a way up there. So they had found 10 different methods you could use to get up there without the guy's help. The only problem is, if you get up there without his help, I can't remember, there's a cutscene or something, the bird doesn't have collision unless he uses help. So if you get up there without his help, you just fall through and die. I think it even does damage if you, like, fall through it.
Yeah!
それでは
そりゃいい。さすがにこりゃちょっと言うに。こんお手洗いに。どう？
おじいちゃんの
We finished the first 4 screens. Is that this one? Yeah, that was this one. Which means we're at 40, which is this one? Yes, this one. We're 80% of the way there.
すげえな。我が努力します。やっぱり
沖宮の学校の方が設備もちゃんとしていますし。
ん？
おくだろけ
おなんか
あけ
うん？
So let's save. It's at 40, 41 is this one? Yes, this one. Oh, and perfect. All of the next, like, 8 are all on this screen. It originated from a German comic. Hey, Xavier, how's it going? It'll be better. Well, I hope your weekend is better. He has a couch he can be on, it's just not that couch. Dog's currently on the couch he's not supposed to be on.
I shall.
Yeah, since it doesn't matter.
He sleeps.
He sleeps where he's not supposed to sleep.
No, I'm just watching.
For right, these ones are all pretty short from what I remember. Okay, 45. Six. 47. We're almost there. Fingers crossed this has worked. So if this works, we'll have this one, the one to the right of it. It'll unlock, so once we do this one, it'll unlock one here, and once we do that one, it'll unlock this one, which is the true ending, if this has worked. Actually, let's save. Okay. Fingers crossed. Okay. We did that one. I think before the difference was this one actually, they have this thing of like, it looks like a bullet shattered the glass, which is like, no, this was not the correct one. And then you had to do this and double back to it. Okay, so we'll skip through this. I think this was a fairly lengthy one. Yeah, because this was the whole one that set up Akasaka being the final piece to the miracle. Yeah, this was a fairly long piece. This was such a long piece. It was like, oh, this was pretty short, and then this piece is long. This is basically Akasaka's backstory for all of the games since 4, so 5, 6, 7. Okay, here we go. It worked. We're saving. So see how before this had the screenshot? This is what I was talking about. This was supposed to be the signal that if you go back to here, that you can proceed. First thing we're doing is we're saving. Then we're getting the true ending. This save file is now permanently on the... You can do the true ending. So this one is called... So this is the 50-second fragment. You had to do the first 51 in that very specific order we just did. This one's called Flags from Kids' Meals. She Needs to Be Rescued Too. This is the true ending to the game. The girl's cheerful voice echoed in the house. It was a tenement house, so the walls were thin. Of course, her yell carried through the neighbors, but since it was a child's voice, nobody complained. So, we already have a bunch of information here. Miyoko is Takano, the villain lady who orchestrated everything. That was her name before she got adopted. So this is her. And her family, before her family's dead. Her father's voice didn't reach the girl, because all she was thinking about was making a new secret base with her friends in the field. Her father knew the girl didn't look forward to going to the mall, and that if they went without her, she would be upset. He also knew that the girl liked collecting flags from the kids' meal at the restaurant there, and one more would bring her collection of 20 flags. 2 more things. We know that when her parents died, she was missing one of the flags, her last flag, to complete the collection. And 2, her parents died going there without her. The girl was making a wish on those flags. She believed if she collected 20 of them, she could become happy. Oh well. He supposed he'd bring a flag home as a souvenir. It wouldn't be a big deal. He asked a waitress, she'd bring one for him. On that day, due to an accident, the trains were running behind schedule. To make up the time lost, drivers were braking a little too late, accelerating a bit too soon. It was rather unsafe. Tanashi family didn't own a car. They always used a train to go to the mall. As the girl skipped her way to her friend's house, an unfamiliar woman stopped her. She obviously wasn't from around there. The ties between the neighbors were very tight around here. Take care, Avery. I hope you're feeling better. The girl knew everyone's face. If there was a stranger, it was either a new mailman or someone who's lost. This is also the first time we've seen this, like, front and back view. The woman said to the girl, any person would think the woman was crazy asking something like that. But the girl was too innocent to think that way. She answered immediately. The girl couldn't figure out why this woman would know that. As the woman left, the girl stopped her. She was curious, although it was a little scary as to what response she'd get if she answered differently. The girl turned and tried to run back home. The mysterious woman tried to confirm this. The girl thought this was some kind of riddle, so she pondered it for a while, but she couldn't figure it out. Then she clapped her hands as if she came to a conclusion. The woman stepped aside. The girl bowed to her and ran home. Thank you for the hydrate. She saw her parents locking the door to leave. Oh, and stretch. Of course we will stretch. There's the cat. I'm not going to run over the cat. No, I'm not going to run over the cat. Where is the cat? I think the cat went outside. Oh yeah, I can hear the cat outside. Now research the theory that Link's mom is a tree. As hilarious and kind of creepy as it is, it doesn't hold up against the game's canon. Fair enough. Alright. There was your stretch. Okay. Take care, Samuses. She saw her parents locking the door to leave. The girl jumped on them and nagged them that she wanted to go too. The girl was going to the mall with her family. The family headed to the train station and waited for a train to arrive, and got on it. The driver was feeling the pressure to make up for the delay, and the passengers could tell that from the way he was driving. The girl noticed the unusual swaying of the train. She stood on her knees and looked out the window. Her mother told her to sit down because it was dangerous. The girl stuck her tongue out. Then, the train reached a very big and very sharp curve. The train tilted in that direction and all the people were shoved to the side. They all squished together and grumbled about it. And the train continued to... The girl and her parents came home under a sky full of stars, with shopping bags in their hands. They unlocked the door, turned the lights on, and then the girl put her bags by the front door and ran into her room. She opened her desk drawer, took something out of her pocket and put it in. She closed the drawer once but opened it again and then spread her treasure on the tatami floor. There were the flags of many different countries that came with the kids' meal. Japanese flag, the American flag, the English flag. Which country was this for? One with 3 colors? There's many flags that are 3 colors, kid. She lined them up as she counted. She counted out loud, and she danced around happily, for she now had 20 of them. It took her so long to collect that many. It was hard work for this girl, so proud of herself for reaching her goal. Yes, they flipped the ending. She worked so hard that there must be something good waiting for her. She made a wish to become happy if she collected 20 of them. Therefore something wonderful must be waiting to happen. The girl waited excitedly, but soon realized it wasn't a magic lamp, so no genie would be jumping out. Maybe it wouldn't happen that night. Maybe it'd be tomorrow. The girl decided to wait patiently. She accomplished something as great as collecting 20 flags. Surely some wonderful happiness awaited. Surely some wonderful miracle awaited. Perhaps it would be like a charm, keeping sad misfortunes at bay. The girl put her 20 flags back in the drawer. She heard her mother telling her to brush her teeth and go to bed. She ran to the bathroom. This is fine, isn't it? It's okay to get a miracle in advance? What should I do next? There are plenty of fragments to play with. What? You want to try too? It's fun. It makes you feel like God. A world with Satoshi, a world without the Sonozaki sisters, a world where the sisters didn't switch. Wonder what a world with Sadako's parents and Rika's parents alive and well would be like. Oh, how about this? Akasaka gets enticed to the enemy's side by Takano. It sounds interesting. Personally, I'm curious about a world where Takano is madly in love with Tomitake. It'd be fun to match Keiichi with different girls, too. I love drama very, very much. Let's see, what should I do next? I have so many fragments. Hey, do you want some? What kind of world are you gonna make? The world of Higurashi will move on even without us. There are many dreams, possibilities, and miracles in that world. They are innumerable fragments, all interweaved with one another. I've shown you a small number of those fragments, but it's up to you to play with the rest of them. The world of Higurashi is now in your hands. It's a big, wide world full of fragments, and they're yours to manipulate, your dreams, your possibilities, and your miracles are yours to discover. I thank you for joining me on this 4.5-year tale about this world. Thank those who supported me during this 4.5-year tale about this world. Thank all the characters who brought this 4.5-year tale about this world to life. Thank my family who've given their understanding for this work. Thank my coworkers who spared no effort for the sake of this work. Thank my friends who supported me during the creation of this work. While I'm the same person who created this work, I would like to thank this work itself for its unforgettable 4.5 years it's given me. I thank the fact that I've left a legacy of the past 4.5 years of work. Thank all those people who sent me emails teaching me the joys of a production. If I may leave you with one more piece, I leave you the joy of making a product of your own. I have nothing to show for the 4.5 years I spent in college. I simply spent my days without achieving anything. I have no proof that I was even alive during that time. If you feel that regret for this is what drove me to make this world, I think we can meet again as friends. That's why I leave you this message. I look forward to the day we meet, my friend. Yeah, so they flipped the ending, where her family was supposed to die in that, but I think canonically what is supposed to happen, at least I think this was according to the anime, is because the daughter was in the train with them and it was being so, the driver was being so erratic, is that they get out at an earlier stop and walk the remainder of the way so that they're not in the accident. I'm pretty sure is the canonical ending to that. And then because Takano, his parents are still alive, she never goes to the orphanage, she never has this like tragic backstory with the orphanage. And because of that, she still ends up spending time with her grandfather and moving to Hinamizawa, but she is no longer this evil person. So that is the true ending. We have, I think, 2 things left. We'll start with, we got 1 tip. This is the only tip for the entire game. If you read this 1 tip, you get an achievement. The Forbidden Treasure. Onigari no Ryuo. The Forbidden Treasure, Onigari no Ryuo, is the most valuable asset of the Furude Shrine that's kept in the ritual storehouse. In ancient times, this place was a chaotic world of both humans and demons. This precious sword defeated the demon god. However, nobody's seen it for 1,000 years. According to the legend, it's sealed in a statue dedicated to Oyashiro-sama in the ritual storehouse. Because of its structure, as long as the belief in Oyashiro-sama continues, it will remain a forbidden tool, forever sealed away. Also, it's only mentioned the forbidden scrolls of the Furude Shrine, though only a handful of the Furude family heads have ever known about its existence. According to several of those forbidden scrolls, the sword is shaped like a willow branch. There's some ink paintings of the sword made by a few Furude heads, but none of them match that description. That means they drew those pictures from their imagination. The legend says there was a girl named Oka, who received a divine message that commanded her to defeat the demon god. However, neither the sword of humans or demons could conquer the demon god. It would require a blade that was neither a human sword nor a demon sword. Only a sword that mixes human and demon qualities could defeat the demon god. It said repeatedly that the ancestors of Hinamizawa are half demon, half human. Oka Furude, dates unknown, is said to be the first person whose blood was mixed in that way. This description is what conveyed that. Heaven gave Oka a precious sword. The precious sword was shaped like a willow branch. The tip split 3 ways, which symbolized heaven, earth, and people in unity. It also symbolizes the harmony between heaven, demons, and humans. Oka headed to the swamp where the demon god hid and defeated him with this treasured sword. Each forbidden scroll described how she defeated the demon god differently. Some say she disciplined him, some say he ran away, some say he surrendered. What happened to the demon god afterwards is unclear. The oldest scroll says that the precious sword destroyed the demon god's horn. Other books didn't mention that. If you remember on Hanyu, one of her horns actually has a piece cut out of it. The precious sword that defeated the demon god was then enshrined. It was named Onigari no Ryuo. Oka sealed this precious sword in the deepest place of the shrine to hide its existence forever. Even if it was created to slay the demon god, the sword didn't belong in this world anymore. It shouldn't exist on the face of the earth. Some said that was why it was removed from the human world. Some said that Oka was the daughter of the demon god and that she wanted to banish the sword that killed her mother. The ancient cult of Oyashiro-sama suggested Oyashiro-sama was this demon god, the source of chaos, the source of all that was evil, and the source of all friction. To prevent the demon god from returning to the human world through worship and comfort is the root of that ancient cult. This may be a type of cult devoted to an evil god. This idea that it's not worship for protection but to stave off a curse links slightly to the modern worship of Oyashiro-sama. But slightly distant from the modern worship that asks for Oyashiro-sama's blessing and sees them as a god of marriage and good relationships. Fosters the argument that humans are good by nature, saying that all discord is the work of Oyashiro-sama and there's no demons in the world of man. After that, the legend continues on to what we know today, the harmony of humans and demons. But in this era, all the scrolls on the origin of the belief of Oyashiro-sama and the scrolls of the matriarch of the Furude family have been sealed due to being forbidden. That happened probably because of the new image of Oyashiro-sama, that of a loving and affectionate god. In the ancient image of Oyashiro-sama, the source of all evil didn't match. It became too difficult to explain the faith's doctrine. Also, if one believes the Forbidden Scrolls, the Furude family was descended from the one who killed her own mother. That would mean their blood was cursed. While that was true, then today's faith is very different from the one that started by the matriarch. One of the leaders of the Furude family from hundreds of years ago wrote this: "The Onigari no Ryo, the legendary precious sword, the symbol of both the Furude family and the sins of the human world. It was an era where people pushed the source of their evil onto others and could only purify their sins by killing one another. The matriarch, one, took in the root of all evil herself and let her child murder her. That was how this place is freed from the chaos. The matriarch usually means Oka Furude, but sometimes it means her mother. The notion that the matriarch was the demon god was a taboo among the Furude family. However, obviously some leaders interpreted it that way. In the Furude family, when the world of man commits the foolish act of seeking to blame others and tries to return to the world of demons, that is when faith will disappear, and the statue's head will shatter. That's when the Onigari no Ryo will reappear out to us. The second coming will once again revive the memory of the Furude family's forgotten sins. Is the demon god a fictional legend? Someone who actually existed? In some rare cases, babies were born with horns, and they were called children of the demon god. Sons of the Furude family who will read this. The myths passed down by our Forbidden Scrolls are numerous, and their content vastly differs. Do not get caught up in the smoke. No matter how different all these scrolls are, there's one thing they all want to convey. Search the heart of Oka Furude, the one who sealed Onigari no Ryo forever. That is the fate that all the Furude family leaders must understand. Real forbidden treasure is this, who graduated from depression. Where'd you go, cat? You're not where the cat went. Okay. Like I said, that one tip was the only tip from the entire game, so we got the achievement for that. We got the achievement for the true ending. So the only thing we have left is the staff room. This is the final message from the game's creator besides that true ending message. Hello. This is the developer. Thank you for playing Matsuribayashi. No, thank you very much for playing Higurashi When They Cry until the end. Matsuribayashi is, in a way, the solution episode for the situation with Takano and the kids starting from halfway through Minagoroshi. How can they defeat Takano's conspiracy? How can they reach their ideal ending? I wrote this episode as a duel between you, the reader, and me, the writer. If you think you created a better resolution world than my Matsuribayashi, that means you defeated me in this duel. I have provided two resolutions. One is how to fight against Takano. First, here is a hint from the Minagoroshi chapter. Find out about Takano's conspiracy, which relies on Emergency Manual 34. Next, here are hints from Watnagashi and Miyakashi chapters. Then 48 hours after Rika's death, yet the village is peaceful. Put those things together, obviously the basis of the Emergency Manual, which Umi Takano wrote, that everyone will develop terminal symptoms within 48 hours, isn't true. You put these two together, you can realize that if Rika's body was discovered 48 hours after her death. Yes, this is the very end. How are you doing? Then it's possible to prevent the final operation. The Matsuribayashi chapter, I wrote about an attacking side and a defending side like a novel. If I were to simply write about the resolution, all I had to write was that for Oishi to announce that Rika died at least 48 hours ago, Takano's conspiracy would fall apart once the news reaches Tokyo. This is rather an easy resolution, like a puzzle, so I'm sure many of you got this right. We have literally streamed all 8 games, as well as one of the side games. I haven't streamed all of the side games. I've been playing some of them. I think I've played through the first 4 of the side games. But yeah, as they weren't part of the main game series, it would have been way too much time to stream all of those. To answer this, I have to explain the worldview of this story first. There are hints hidden all over, but the crucial ones are in Tatari Goroshi and Minagoroshi chapters. Sadako's uncle comes home, and Sadako's life becomes miserable. How can she be rescued from that situation? this story was an exercise in murder, then Tatari Goroshi chapter is the correct answer. Keiichi kills Teppi and hides his body well. There's a happy ending. I didn't end the episode that way, instead I denied it with a bad ending. The resolution the worldview of Higurashi advocates is a non-violent one with everyone united together. That is established in question chapters such as Onikakushi wa Nagashi and Tatari Goroshi. In those worlds, when someone becomes suspicious about everything and worries about it alone, things get worse and leads to tragedy. The Mayakashi chapter is the sublimation of that situation. On the other hand, when one talks to their friends, reveal that the causes of the tragedies are quite silly. That's indicated in the Tsumi Horoboshi and Mina Goroshi episodes. In other words, you can see that in the worlds of Higurashi, anything can be overcome when people talk to each other and help one another. Or can you see? That was a question, not you can see. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen in reality. Helping each other creates friction, and oftentimes, working alone is a lot simpler. Or, we always hope that we can connect with other people and understand each other, so that we can face any difficulty. In that sense, this world is a fantasy. That's right. In the worlds of Higurashis, there's one magical rule. So talk to others and accept help from them, then you can defeat anything. With that, it's possible to make a miracle happen. That could be cast into an absolute rule, it'd be some sort of magical, systematic miracle. Just like what Hanyu and her friend said in the story. That is the worldview of Higurashi. You follow that rule and think about an ideal ending, but the first thing you'll think about is an ending where all the club members unite and defeat Takano. Actually, there are scenes in the Matsuribayashi chapter that affirm that sort of ending. However, at the same time, Takano is described as a very lonely person. By doing so, I raise a question about the resolution. Everyone else unites, defeats Takano, and makes her into a sacrifice. This is a happy ending, for everyone except Takano. A very popular style of story for the protagonists to unite together and sacrifice the antagonist. Aliens come to the Earth and invade us, so the world unites and defeats the aliens. Hooray for humans, we must all get along. It's a very popular storyline all over the world. There are plenty of stories that use aliens, devils, or monsters, clear bad guys, and make them into the sacrifices. Two parties fighting with each other become allies once a third party shows up. Storylines like these are indeed exciting. Adding a sacrifice, differing parties unite and become allies. To create this situation, there has to always be the third party to sacrifice as well. I'm sure many of those who created such stories must have already noticed that. We always had a third enemy that can't possibly unite with us. To make up with each other, we try to find a common enemy. Am I the only one who feels that describes our world today? In reality, this world belongs only to humans. There are no aliens, no devils, no monsters. So for us to find an enemy, we'll have to fight each other forever. To make up with each other, we need a new enemy, so we just end up fighting someone else. In this chapter of Higurashi, I declared that to be the demon of the world of man. These explanations of the worldview here in mind. Do you wonder if the resolution of defeating Takano is, in fact, an ideal resolution in the Matsuribayashi chapter? That's right, it's basically the same foolishness found in Tatari Goroshi. According to that logic, the Mina Goroshi chapter isn't the best resolution for the problems that surround Sadako either. You understand that? How can they make up with Takano? You wouldn't suggest to make Tokyo into a new enemy and let the club members join with Takano, would you? If I continue to talk about this issue, I'll probably end up mentioning something religious, so let me stop here. What kind of ending would be the best outcome following the worldview of Higurashi? Perhaps it's something better than the Matsuribayashi chapter. You can consider this a graduating question for Higurashi. Maybe I'll leave this as a final gift to those who enjoyed this tale for 4.5 years. Thank you for reading this extremely complicated story. In the end, what was all this for? If you put the answer to the question in one world, it would be entertainment. It's not important if you were able to answer the riddles. After all, if you enjoyed yourself, you won. I will continue to challenge you. Higurashi ends here, but I hope I get to see you again in a different world. What kind of work do I want to create next? Maybe it's fitting to choose my work from an infinite number of possibilities while listening to the chorus of the Higurashi. I want to express my gratitude to all the people who have supported me until today. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. The developer. With that, let me check, but I think once this is done, I should get an achievement, which I think means we've 100% of this game and 100% of the series. Okay, got the achievement. I have 100% of this game, We have 100%ed the series.